What's going on in your head as an author is just as important as how well you write. Actually, even more so. What I am saying is that authenticity is not a soft, nice-to-have quality. It's a core success ingredient. And when it's missing, you can feel it. Other people can feel it too. Hey, friend. Welcome back to Your Right Life Coach, the podcast for heart-led authors who are ready for both momentum and motivation. I'm Alice, and I'm kind of nervous about this episode because today I'm going to tell you a story I don't share lightly. It's personal, it's a little embarrassing, and it ended up being a gift that changed everything for me. I'm sure you've heard a lot of talk about authenticity. It's been a buzzword for several years now, but I want to talk about what it actually means, what it costs you when you aren't being authentic, and what becomes possible when you finally step into the real you. The story I want to share with you was my greatest lesson in authenticity. If you've ever felt like you were performing a version of yourself just to survive, at work, in your writing, in your relationships, or in your life in general, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. I grew up in Illinois with two dreams. I wanted to be a writer, and I wanted to live in Colorado. Today, I live in Colorado, and I work in book publishing as a book editor and an author coach. Sounds like a dream come true, right? But that did not happen overnight. And it didn't happen because I had the right credentials or a special degree or experience or even a clear plan. I get into publishing as a struggling single mom. I had just spent 9 years homeschooling my 4 kids. I didn't have much job experience, and I needed income. It was kind of like my childhood dream tapped me on the shoulder and said, "How about becoming a writer now?" So I attended a writer's conference expecting to learn how to become an author because that was going to help me rake in the dough. And I walked out bewildered, overwhelmed, and slightly terrified by the business side of it all. But also while I was there, I listened to some editors talk about their work. It sounded interesting, and I thought, I could do that. That looks so much easier. I know, famous last words. My first job was a part-time editorial assistant in Sunday school curriculum. I was going through my divorce. I had 4 kids to clothe and feed. I was determined and a little desperate, which seriously can be a powerful combination if it doesn't destroy you first. I worked my way from there into a full-time position in the book department, and a few years later, I found myself in what I thought was going to be my dream job. And then, just a few months in, I almost got fired. That was my worst nightmare. I kept thinking, how am I going to take care of my kids if I lose this job? I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. Every morning, I'd walk into the office, turn on my computer, and my hands would start shaking and sweating. I would hold it together as best I could, and then I'd slip out at lunch and go sit in my car and cry and pray a lot. At night, I could not sleep. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. in full panic attacks. And every day at work, I felt like I was under a microscope. Every little mistake I made was documented, written up, used to prove my inadequacy. Have you ever felt judged so harshly? Well, like no matter what you did, it wasn't enough. Like you were showing up as well as you possibly could, but somehow the version of you that was showing up wasn't really the right one? That's exactly where I was. I had been performing. I was trying to be what I thought they needed me to be. I had completely lost track of who I actually was, and it backfired on me. Out of desperation, I started looking for a backup plan, something I could do if book publishing didn't work out. And in the middle of that search, I hired a life coach. That decision changed my life. She helped me stop trying to become someone else. She helped me find my footing again. I also enrolled in a personal development course that showed me I wasn't trapped, that I could actually create a new trajectory for my life just by becoming more fully myself. And here's what's wild. As I started to change on the inside, my world changed on the outside. I got promoted, got a raise. I was recruited for a new role. I got promoted again. Not because I became a different person, but because I stopped pretending and finally became the real me. Today, after almost 30 years in book publishing, I'm a certified life coach who coaches authors. I've tripled my income. I have opportunities knocking on my door that I never could have imagined back in that parking lot crying in my car. And here's what I want you to get today. What's going on in your head as an author is just as important as how well you write. Actually, even more so. I'm not saying you have to hire a coach or take a personal development course to succeed, though I do think it helps. What I am saying is that authenticity is not a soft, nice-to-have quality. It's a core success ingredient. And when it's missing, you can feel it. Other people can feel it too. Here's what I've noticed in writers I've met along the way. So many of them are writing from a performed version of themselves. They're writing what they think the market wants. They're using a voice that sounds more like an author they admire than like themselves. They're holding back the very things that make their message resonate. They're withholding their true story because they're afraid those things are too much, or not enough, or just too real. And their work suffers for it, not because they lack talent or creative ideas, but because readers can smell inauthenticity, and it stinks. Readers might not be able to name it, but they sense it. Something is slightly off. There's a distance between the words on the page and the person who wrote them. So I want to share 3 shifts that made the biggest difference for me and that I watched transform the authors I coach. Number 1, don't try to write like someone else. I know that sounds simple and obvious, but it's not easy. When we're insecure, and most of us are, at least some of the time, we look around at what's working for other people and we think, I should do it like that. Sometimes we can learn from what's working for others, but your voice, your angle, your specific way of seeing the world, that's the one thing no one else can replicate, not even AI. So lean into your own unique point of view, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels risky. Number 2, do your inner work. I know that's not the most glamorous writing advice, but the truth is, the stories we tell ourselves about our writing, that we're not good enough, that it's too late, that no one will care, those stories will limit you more than any publishing gatekeepers ever could. What if you tried investing even a fraction of the time you spend on craft development into understanding what's driving those stories? I promise the returns are extraordinary. And number 3, don't wait until you hit bottom, like I did. I waited. I had to get desperate before I got real. I had to be on the verge of losing everything before I stopped pretending. You don't have to do it that way. You can choose right now, today, to start showing the world the real you. Not who you think you should be, not who you think will get published, not who looks good on social media. The real you. Because here's the deal. When you get real with yourself and others, you're not just becoming a better person. You're giving yourself a giant advantage in publishing, in your writing, and in every room you walk into. I'm not the same girl who sat crying in that parking lot. And the difference isn't that life got easier. The difference is I stopped hiding. So here's your invitation for this week. Just one thing. Try asking yourself, where am I performing? Where in my writing or in my life as a writer am I being someone I think I should be instead of who I actually am? What would happen if I got honest with myself and stopped pretending? Let those questions roll around in your mind for a bit. Write about them in your journal. Let them bring up something real in you, and do not judge yourself in the process. That's it, just that one thing, because noticing without judgment is the key to positive change. Now, if you want a little support as you do that work, I have something for you. It's a workbook about discovering your writer's voice, your unique voice, and it includes 6 powerful exercises to help you write from the heart. Because writing from who you truly are is what will resonate with readers. You can find the link for it in the show notes. And if you're looking for a community where authenticity isn't just a buzzword, where it's actually the strategy, the Inkwell Collective is that place. The doors are now open at alicekreider.com/Inkwell Collective. I'd love to have you join us. Remember, you have a story worth telling, a message worth delivering, the one only you can write. Don't wait till you hit bottom to let yourself be seen. I'll be back next week, and until then, keep writing, keep showing up. Your words matter. If this episode struck a chord in you, would you please share it with a friend who would appreciate it? Think of someone who's been pouring their heart into their writing and wondering why it's not landing. Send it their way. And if you have a minute, leaving a review helps more heart-led authors find their way here. I read them all, and I'm genuinely grateful for every single one.